Welcome to the LCS Academy, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi, and for the first time, Pyrotechnics. My dude, I'm so happy to get to work with you on a broadcast. I'm happy to be here as we kick off the second round robin in the summer split of Academy. Joshi, got any big thoughts going into this one? You got to get ready for a whole another slew of games here as we go into the second round.
Well, now we got all the rematches coming through, Lennon. We get to see everybody who might have lost before having an opportunity to get some revenge, or for all the teams who are already winning, just continue their win streak. I think it's going to be seeing an opportunity for a lot of big storylines, and we're already seeing, kind of a top half and a bottom half starting to solidify.
Yeah, what about you, Pyro? You got any thoughts going to the second round robin here in Academy Summer?
Absolutely. Obviously I'm catching myself up where I get on speed. I'm really excited to see the teams that have made a couple of changes starting to look a little stronger. I think while there is that top and bottom half solidifying, there's a couple of potential comeback stories, and I'm keeping an eye on a handful of teams and players to see if they can really stand out in the next round robin here.
I know I was wearing the get-up yesterday, but I'm all in on the Golden Guardians, the comeback story here. Ooh. Also, speaking of yesterday, though, it was the end of the first round robin, but we also got our first iterations of the Belveth. We also put together a little video talking about the fishies. Let's see what happened yesterday.
Seeing Belveth, there she is.
Look at all the fishies. Side swap, Belveth fan, immediately. There's no way this champion was getting played again. Yes! Yes!
This
yes!
is a surprise to me. Okay,
Screw you, Gubby. The champion is broken. Yeah.
Suspense.
Dignitas, you want to win?
Is it gonna be the first pick?
There you go. Dignitas, win the game. Let's go. He's gonna walk mid. They're gonna get this entire turret. Watch.
I think the champ sucks, honestly.
Belveth.
That last little bit.
I think that's the first run through.
That was
Belveth. Oh, well. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and give the soapbox to Joshi here. You had some very interesting things to say about the Academy Belveth performances yesterday, but we did get to see a decent amount of it.
Yeah, Belveth is broken. If you don't recognize this already, hopefully you realize it after watching the games yesterday. This champion needs to be on your radar. This champion needs to be picked, and your win conditions are super straightforward. Go get Rift Herald, go get Baron, and the game ends. It's kind of as simple as that. So we will see whether or not teams have adapted. They've only had one day between the games yesterday and today to see if teams have figured out some of the changes to how this champion actually brings to the table.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I want to see what Cloud9's response is, especially because Copy was like, it was like a haymaker out of left field. Like, I don't even know what happened. Pyro, do you think we'll actually get to see the pick come through today, or do you think it's just going to be 100% banned?
I want it to get through once or twice. I feel like there's so many high prio bans. There's one team that's gonna let it up in game one and then just get completely wrecked by it. I love that we had the one game from Acadian that didn't win, and on the other stream, Josh was just like, this chip's so busted. Oh my god.
Don't worry about that.
It's okay. I mean, it makes me remember and think back to when the Juggernaut patch came out and Pantheon was 100% pick ban at Worlds. I think it was season 6 or season 7, except for one game where one team was like, we think we have a prepared counter pick. And they got dunked on, right? Yeah. The Pantheon absolutely won the game, and nobody made the same mistake again. I'm kind of expecting something kind of similar here with Belveth. The only teams that are going to let it through are the teams that are confident that they can beat it anyway.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at the game, always an interesting conversation to have, especially when you get new picks like the Belvath that can upend a lot of the traditional ways of gameplay, and especially in these new developing players, right? And getting to see how they mesh with the meta itself. But speaking of meshing with things, Academy itself, pentakills, not all that common. We do get occasionally some spicy ones. And speaking of some spicy ones, we also did have a very memorable one from last split in spring from Pretty. So let's go ahead and listen in on that play, and also from some background information from Pretty himself.
So many low HP bar members, and Pretty finds the flank as well. And now finally Arrow can walk forward with impunity, because Pretty is setting up the dominoes to fall. It's a quadra. Pretty, will he secure it? Pentakill for Pretty!
There is a meme going on in my team about me getting pentakill with Cousin and us not winning game last split. We're playing against a team. I got pentakill as Cousin and then we lost the game. And I keep getting blamed every day for not carrying that game. And I accept it, you know, it's fine. I did not carry that game, and I should have carried that game. So it's a champion that got buffed, basically, because he had a weak laning phase. Now it's much easier to lane and all. So I really, really want to play him. I think I'll get the chance to play him, and then just carry a game. I'll get to level 16, and I'll just kill everybody. And then, you know, I'll stop this meme forever. It's too much. It's too much. One split was enough. So I hope I can play Casa.
The memes are too much. I did get to speak to Chad after Pretty's 14-0-14 performance on the Talia. He did say it kind of made up for that a little bit, but still obviously a bit of a meme that Pretty wants to get over, and something that I feel like he wants to grow from, Joshi. Pentakills are a fun thing, but not that fun when you lose, even if you get one.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you look at somebody who gets that much of an influx of gold, at least 1,500 right off the bat. You're kind of expecting them to be in a position to actually carry the rest of the game, especially on something as late game. But I know, Pyra, you're looking at it, it doesn't necessarily mean you're always going to take the dub.
No, it's like extra pressure, right? Like you look at that, and when it happens, you get the pentakill, and you think you're going to be winning. Usually it happens as a result of like some hugely decisive fight or something. But sometimes you get the pentakill, and your team isn't able to pick up the slack, and then you feel that you have to carry, and when you don't, it's almost worse than not getting it. And I know sometimes you have to bring it back from your own mistakes after that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's part of that growing process that we always love to see. And yes, it sucks, right? Like, you're not going to go away from that fact, but it's something you can learn from, something you can grow from. And honestly, it seems like a little bit of bonding has been created from that moment with the memes within the team. So, hey, I'll take it. But another man who did take that gracious penta was Jemian not too long ago in his second penta of his career. Let's go ahead and listen in.
To put the package used by Cheers to cut off the fight, looking for the re-engage. They've got a lot of damage. They've taken down Tenacity, looking to see if they can get BMFX as well. He's gone. Array gets the kill, but it should be Jimian taking revenge for his spot lane. But Jimian now the focus. He gets out with perfect execution. Might go back in. Double kill for Jimian, keeping his team alive. The hopes and dreams are still there, all on the back of the PCS mid laner. Quadra kill on Akali. Only one remaining is Chime. Chime, long, far and away, gonna be able to escape from the wrath of Jimian, or is he going right into the jungle, noticing that Jimian's there as well? He can chase this down.
Pentakill on Akali in game number 1. Tell me a little bit about that pentakill. Now, if you're wondering,
Even he didn't know.
Yeah, even he didn't know. If you're wondering why we're talking about both Pretty and Jimian, it is because they will be facing off today in a heated matchup between IMT Progressive Academy and 100 Thieves Academy themselves. Yeah. I think you see the difference in some of the breakdowns and how they achieve their pentakills. Obviously different splits as well, but it's an interesting discussion to have because both players will be so pivotal in that matchup, Joshi.
For sure, and I have to praise Chime for that last play as well. He saw there was a quadra kill from Jamie, and he's like, I gotta give him a chance to get it. Find that 5th kill, walks right on back, and he's like, maybe this wasn't the best place for me to be, but that's the way that a cookie crumbles. We'll see a little bit more from both those mid laners on twitch.tv/academy.
We certainly will. Oh my
Do you have
goodness,
anything
that
to say
moment.
about that matchup, Mr. Pirate?
Yeah, the moment when Chime walks forward and he sees
like,
Jimmy, he's
wait.
like, "Oh no, I have made a mistake." I love Jim. It's good to see Jimmy and doing well here in Academy. Of course, having him come over from the PCS and he's been picking it up. What you didn't see in that clip is that Jimmy almost threw the game after that and then got a quadra kill on his own base.
It goes with
and
pentas.
Then,
I mean, come on.
It was incredible. He gets the penta. The team nearly loses. He picks it back up, and then they run away. Like, that was such a ridiculous game. So a lot of effort. Props to Jimmy, and maybe we'll see cleaner play going forward. I don't know. It's exciting to see.
It is exciting. I just love how much of a cornerstone Jimmy has become for 100 Thieves Academy itself. But we have reached a milestone here in Academy. It's a little bit sad to say, but we are finished with the first round robin of the Academy Summer Split, meaning we're halfway through the season. It is terrifying in its own right, but that's where I want to go ahead and bring up some fond memories as we discuss a little bit of what we've seen so far, the development that we've wanted to see, and a little bit of the growth within these few weeks that we've had, Pyra. I know you're a little bit newer to the broadcast, but I know you've been a steady follower as well. So what has really stood out to you in terms of the round robin number one?
Ooh, yeah, no, I like it. Throw me off the deep end. It's good. I think
Yep.
we've seen a lot of interesting performances from teams. The teams that we expected to perform the best have, for the most part, been solid. But there have been a few stumbling blocks, right? I mean, I'm thinking back to Team Liquid losing one of the games against FlyQuest last week. This particular matchup as well. I think we're seeing the standout of some of our big names. Shaden has been really good. This, of course, is C9 before they get their full bot lane. But I don't want to take anything away from Wixie and Trevor. I think they had a pretty admirable performance. So even our temporary players have looked pretty good.
I think that's the most important part, is even in that moment you see striking when the iron is hot is always important. Joshi, do you have any thoughts of general feelings of the first round robin here for any of these teams?
I mean, I feel like we are once again looking at a very classic situation here in Academy of the blob or the clump, if you're a little bit less cultured, right? Between first place and 7th place, it's a 3-game difference, right? We have so many teams who are super tight. We have 5 teams who are either 11-7 or 10-8. And we're still looking for that separation at the top. We're expecting teams like Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, and Cloud9 to eventually climb their way there, but that's kind of the nature of how Academy works. It feels like every single time the middle of the pack is incredibly close.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's always so close. I love it because it always means that, even if everyone's included in Proving Grounds, there's still a little bit of fun to have, like CLG being proud of the fact they won regular split in spring and trying to make that performance happen again in summer. And I think still seeing some of those little things adjusting in the beginning of the summer split is so important to me with a lot of these teams, and seeing the likes of Team Liquid Academy performing to expectations. It feels like some fun gameplay, I would say. I know Joshi has some strong words about that one, but it's interesting to see. We still have top of the table teams in 100 Thieves, TLA. You talk to all these players; they're all saying we want to face TLA again. We want to go against this Team Liquid squad, and so I'm really excited to see how the future expectations kind of pan out for a lot of these teams. I don't know. I guess, do you expect any upending, any big separations, Joshi, in that blob / I guess clump that we want to talk about?
I mean, the big teams that I'm going to be paying attention to in terms of who I think are going to push towards the top and really create a very clear top 3 right now are Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, and Cloud9, with I think CLG kind of tacking on as my number 4 right now in order to really create a lot of pressure and force the rest of the teams to play for that 5th and 6th kind of spot. And it's definitely something where we've seen all of these teams have ridiculous games. We've seen the peaks of what they can actually do. Now, they've played against all the teams at least once. They have had opportunities to see all the different strategies that other teams are going to be going for, and now it's not just about learning your own mechanics, it's about trying to come up with things that will find you wins.
Yeah, I think looking at those wins, the category is important, but it's more so each player performing to the way they go, right? We have the rosters finally solidified. A lot of the bonding will continue to go in the next couple weeks. So definitely keep an eye on the expectations for the Academy rosters coming through. But also, speaking of expectations, we like lists here in Academy. And we've made yet another one as we have the should-be LCS list. We have come together, all of us, chosen a player that we believe should be in the LCS, and I believe we have our list from the Stream A representatives, which are Cubby, Magical, and Kangas. I just want to make sure I get them right really quick. If I can scroll up in my wonderful news, it was Kangas that chose
There's
Cowrie,
some names.
Cubby chose Tenacity, and Magical chose Pretty. So we'll talk about those first, and then we'll get to our picks here. Does anybody that stands out? I know I'm a little upset at Cubby chose the same one as me, but I think it's obvious.
I think 2 of these picks are defensible.
2 of them. All right. Yeah.
2 of them are defensible.
I had a strong conversation with Mr. Returning Man Randy Savage, Kangas. I saw the Cowrie choice, and I was like, you obviously have not been watching Academy. That's exactly what I said to him.
We did
watch
yesterday.
Come on, Giselle, he watched yesterday, and that's
He watched
yesterday.
He just got back from Singapore. He was doing Wild Rift.
You gotta cut the man some slack, right? Like he's
Cowrie was very good in spring.
I was gonna flame him on broadcast because I just think it's an interesting choice when you've seen the lack of progress I feel like that we've seen from Evil Geniuses. But it's everybody gets their choice. Everybody has their own opinion.
True.
And I'll agree with your statement, Joshi. And 2 out of 3 are defensible in that situation.
I feel like both you and Cubby put in Tenacity, right? I think he would be an instant upgrade for several teams already in the LCS. And while Pretty is a little bit more on the cusp for me in terms of how strong he actually is, I think that if Pretty is going to have success in LCS, this is the meta where he is very likely to do that. He's not the most aggressive carry style player, but he is a fantastic secondary threat. And so there are a couple teams in LCS that I could think of where they could really use that because either play really heavily to top side or to bottom side, and they just need a rock in the mid lane.
I agree with that. I also think one of the issues for Pretty is like the competition he would face to get an LCS spot, I think is a lot stiffer than that in the top lane. I think the top lane in LCS is a fair bit weaker right now.
True.
Now, I want to go ahead and get your guys' picks as well. Who did you choose, Joshi? Who was your
Can you guess?
Should be on LCS. Was it Philip?
No, he's already in LCS.
Good job, you did it. Look, you did it.
Nah, it's Ayla. I've been talking about how sick this player is the entire season. He played in LCS for Core JJ. He should be doing it, not over Core JJ, but he would be an instant upgrade for half of the teams in LCS immediately.
Caveats. Pyra, what about you? What do you got? Who's your?
So I picked a guy. I cheated a little bit because I picked a guy that was just in LCS. I picked King. I think King has gotten a raw deal in the past, and obviously got a lot of flame for the stand-in performance on Cloud9. Not at all his fault. If you're playing Jinx and you can't get to 3 items, you don't get to deserve the blame for the loss. But quite apart from that, I think King is a player that has so many accolades, so much experience, and you can see in the way that he plays out like positional matchups. I think he is a player that would upgrade almost half of the LCS rosters currently. Unfortunately, Cloud9 is not one of them, and that's part of the issue. So, yeah, I think King absolutely deserves a starting spot in the LCS, and he maybe one day will get it again.
Well, I have to see. But that is our LCS lists, as I did say we like lists. But we do have games to get to. We have 5 full best of 2s. 3 on Stream A on twitch.tv/academy, and 2 here on Path to LCS. We'll go ahead and see the twitch.tv/academy stream schedule here. Immortals Progressive Academy taking on 100 Thieves Academy in the first matchup. That one will be a banger. Cloud9 Academy taking on FlyQuest Academy in the second series. Golden Guardians Academy finishing it off versus Evil Geniuses Academy. Again, that'll be on twitch.tv/academy. Here on twitch.tv/path to LCS, where you're already at, we have Dignitas Academy versus TSM Academy, and Team Liquid Honda Academy versus CLG Academy. That one is something to watch. Both these series are going to be so fun. And if you're looking for any information on any of that, if you don't know what we're talking about, you got to go follow at Path to LCS, our Twitter, because that's where all the content, all the information, all of the game updates, all the NA developmental talent spotlights go. And if you
I like how well we waited for the new Path to LCS thing to pop up. Pyra and I were just pointing at our own Twitters.
Yep. You're self-inflammatory there for yourself in terms of
follow, like,
trying
subscribe,
to get,
all that stuff.
You know how it goes. But it is really nice to get all the love that we have had on the Path to LCS channel. So continue to overflow, please, and thank you. But now we got to get to the nitty-gritty. We got to get to the first series on the docket here. And while we do, I'm going to need a minute because I think I have something for this one. But it's
okay.
Dignitas Academy versus TSM Academy. And we'll start with a general conversation here for TSM Academy because I think they deserve to have a little bit of a spotlight in this one, even though things have been a bit rough, Joshi. And it's been an interesting ride, I feel like, for TSM.
Rough is a very easy way to describe it. They have not been seeing a whole lot of success. They went up against another team that was tied for 8th place yesterday in Evil Geniuses, and it wasn't particularly close. Evil Geniuses looked very clean, very standard, and now TSM, they're looking to bounce back. We asked yesterday who the heroes were going to be on this team. We were looking at Soul, we were looking at Takeover, and while Takeover had some opportunities where he looked pretty good, it wasn't enough to actually take the game and actually find any wins over Evil Geniuses. And so we're still looking to see if this team can figure out how to play as a 5-man unit and win their lanes and actually find some wins.
Absolutely. When we've seen them snowball in the past, I mean, keep in mind this is a team that hasn't won a game in 2 weeks, which feels bad, man. But when they found some success, it's Hyper being able to snowball a lane, particularly Takeover. I think that's their best win condition. I think they need to give him prio. Like, of course, on red side, you always want to save that counter pick. But Hyper has been the bright spot on this roster for me, right? His development as a player, his understanding of map awareness. Jungle is so impactful right now as a playmaker. Role in this meta. I think it's good to see. We just need to see those side lanes step up, and I think then the team will have more success against at least the bottom half of the table.
I completely agree. And trying to play to the strengths, right? We've seen Soul be able to play so well, but we've also seen them kind of shy away from playing up towards the top lane. So I'm really excited to see the kind of strategy that we get to open up this second round robin for TSM Academy. But on the other side, Dignitas Academy, it's also been a little bit of an up and down situation for Dignitas, but I think the pieces shine brighter individually than I would say on TSM Academy. But as a whole, also when they come together, when the plan looks good, Dignitas Academy can light it up. Pyra.
They certainly can. I think Dignitas have a lot of great pieces on their roster. They also have a lot of good trash talk going on. I mean, we've heard a lot from XU and Insanity. They have been very fun to talk to and to hear them talk about. I do think that bot lane has been very, very impressive as well. Spawn and JJ have had some great moments. And Tony Top is a veteran player as well. And even though the performance has been a little up and down, I think that they have all the tools for success if they can get them all together. But they got to get on the same page, Mazel.
They do. And, you know, I don't know what kind of voice to do. But, you know, when you're looking at the Dignitas, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to choose what you're looking for. Because the aggression, it comes in many different forms, okay? It comes in many different forms. And you're looking at XU.
Are you like shopping right now, Goldilocks? Is that...
Yeah, he's trying to pick out the level of aggression.
Me? I didn't want to name drop my...
Sorry. We weren't trying to dox you right on stream, but it...
So, XU, I want to go ahead and start getting a feel for these as we're shopping, because I just want to make sure that it's just right. All right, I just want to make sure it's just right. So let's see how XU turns out first. Let's see how this works.
If you need an aggressive playmaker for your team, you can do none better than Lawrence XU Shu, recently being shown to go with the newest and greatest picks here in the Belveth. XU is well known for his timing attacks. He will find opportunities where the other jungler isn't there, and while he might go a little bit too far sometimes...
Aggressive!
What? But he's so good. Look at all the crazy plays he's able to go for. He jumps in. He's always ready to make plays happen.
I don't like it. No.
Joshi,
This is not what I'm looking for. This is no.
You're trying to sell a man something he doesn't
got my hair
quite
all
want.
messed up now.
But he flashes walls. You know, that's confidence. That's what we like to see. As a beautiful dame like yourself, you know the #1 quality you look for in a player is confidence and humor. I'm told.
All right. Look.
It's too much.
Josh, I get what you were trying to sell here, but like I think this is not to the customer's taste. We need to mix things up. Why don't you let me take over?
Let him calm down.
Look. Like we're gonna calm it down. We're gonna take a step back. We're gonna be a little bit more reserved because I think Goldilocks, I've got a player for you. He's down in the bot lane, and his name is Trevor Spawn Care Taylor. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the way that this player
This can't be as aggressive, okay? This can't be as
No, it's not. I promise
need it.
it's much more chill. It's much more laid back. You see, you know, going in, it's nice and measured, but not over-committing to the play. No need to dive under tower to try and kill the Draven. That's greed for feed, man.
I just feel, but nothing's happening. What?
Do you need a little bit more spice in your life,
No.
Goldilocks?
This is great. This is chill League of Legends. You need to take your time before you go forward.
I need somebody else. Why are you guys
giving me? You need to relax. You need to think about it. You need to take your time. It's okay. There's the calling. It's great. Look at the calling in the wave.
I said I didn't want aggression, but I also didn't want nothing. I want taste. I want something.
Okay. All right, Pyra.
We're struggling a little bit here.
We're struggling right now to find like a happy medium. We're struggling to find a happy medium somewhere, something in the mid.
I don't think I'll ever come back here again. I just.
Well, okay. Before
okay, hold on. Give us one more chance. Give us one more chance.
You know, I think you got something in the back. You got something in the inventory.
Okay.
I can see why this one would be nice for some people. It's just not my taste. Okay. I'm very refined, as you can see.
We'll keep working on it.
Very refined.
We have XU that is a bit too aggressive. We have Spawn that isn't necessarily as willing to make plays, but I think we can find something in the middle lane that is going to make you very happy here, Goldilocks.
In the middle,
okay. I present to you David Insanity Chal going to be coming out in the middle lane for Dignitas, and I hope this is exactly what you're looking for.
I think I saw that on a commercial one time.
You did. We've been airing it on TV all the time. Thank you. We've been very happy with the work that he's been able to put out so far, but he used to play in LCS, and he is a very solid mid laner. He looks for opportunities to be aggressive, but he doesn't always got to get there. You get some spontaneity there in your life, right? It's not the same restaurant every single time, but Insanity, he is always willing to, let's go try something new. I hear there's a good microbrewery down the road. We can go check that one out.
I love microbreweries.
Yeah, there you go.
Technically, this is a refurbished model, but it plays just like new. Got to swap out. There was Dark Wings before, and now we're right back to Insanity. Looking really good, right? I mean, look at this play. It's so crisp and clean.
The name, maybe it needs a little work. Insanity is not the most wonderful. You showed me right in the middle. That is just right. Thank you, gentlemen.
We did
so much.
We did it.
We found it. We found it.
I am gonna go buy some Insanity, and I don't know what that means.
Owning people is not okay, Goldilocks.
No, it is not. But
the
soup is just right with Dignitas Academy. We'll see if Insanity can be just right in their potential victory today. See if TSM Academy can take anything to task here in the series. As Champ Select is ready, I still have a wig on. Joshi, Pyra, go ahead and take it away.
Bye, Lennon.
Thank you, Goldilocks. That was something else, but we're getting into pick Goldilocks. Oh, my word. All right, somebody clip that one, and we'll take a look at it later. I love the voice. That was the best part. But let's get into pick ban, because Dignitas Academy, with their 3 different levels of aggression,
the Belveth
taking on TSM, and there is the Belveth fan. I think we were expecting that, but we also got to look at what else has happened. There's no Senna this game, no GP, and no Lee Sin. So kind of across the board, all across lanes and through jungle.
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting because XU and Hyper are our 2 Lee Sin specialists, right? We've been using that word a lot because there's a lot of characters that only have 1 or 2 representatives, and both of these guys have been playing Lee Sin so far. But now, there's still one other pick that was absolutely pivotal to some of the games that we saw yesterday, particularly from Cloud9. Zeri is still strong, but the one thing that I'm paying attention to see which team actually wants to grab it, Seraphine. It got massive buffs here on 12-12. It was already one of the best picks already, and TSM, they are wasting no time. They see it, they hover it, they're listening to the broadcast. They know I want to see it.
All right, they got the strats, so should be expecting that lock-in. But of course, the Zeri first pick on the side of Dignitas Academy does also come through once the Fiora ban was taken away. That's another champion that a lot of top laners are saying is very blindable right now. It does have a big impact in side lanes in the 1v1. Obviously, a lot of focus was put towards Tony Top, but there is the Seraphine lock-in. What do you expect to see paired with this, Joshi?
Honestly, whenever I see this champion come through, things that do consistent physical damage over periods of time tend to be some of the best things that you can actually pick up. Wukong is fantastic. Things like Graves and Olaf, things that will create a front line, are really strong compared to Seraphine. And the thing about Seraphine that I think a lot of people kind of don't pick up on is that Seraphine is the main character of every composition that she's in. She forces your team into a death ball, and she is the core to that death ball. She gives so much healing to the rest of your team. She keeps you alive for so long that while everybody else is doing the damage, Seraphine is there in the back backline to make sure that it continues happening for long periods of time. And so TSM, we haven't necessarily seen them play around Instinct, and this doesn't really shout takeover to me, so I'm curious who's actually going to be piloting this.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because, you know, we've seen Shenny pick things like the Maokai support. It just hasn't really worked out, hasn't been on the same page with the rest of his team. I would hope to see it down there, but it might be an Instinct champion. For the time being, Dignitas, they're going to go for an Enchantress support themselves. That's the Rakan paired up with the Zeri. And now we see if we get our side lane picked up early, or if they want to opt into jungle, because that pool can be pinched pretty easily. It's actually going to be the Trundle coming out here.
Very interesting pick to come through, right? Trundle kind of struggles to deal with Seraphine because he just kind of gets caught in everything. I don't know if anybody else plays like 40k or whatever, but I always use the term stuck in whenever I see like a Seraphine composition or a bunch of melees, and your whole goal is just get in there and get really hard. It's like a take, you can't really get it out. And so we're seeing TSM, they're going to do that, and Trundle gets caught right in the middle of that, and he doesn't necessarily have somebody that he can play alongside, but TSM, a team after my own heart, picking up the Seraphine and the Karma, incredibly powerful bottom lane as a pairing. And so now we have to see TSM actually figure out where they're going to be bringing their physical damage from.
Okay, that's going to be just so much ridiculous poke as well. So looking forward to seeing what TSM round out with this. But where does Dig go from here? I know we talked about the Trundle being maybe a little bit of a head scratcher, especially for someone like XU. I think that was the surprise for me. Obviously, with no Lee Sin, no Wukong, he has to switch it up. But I was thinking, you know, we might get more of like a direct engage champion. We've seen him on the Volibear a number of times. The Viego is another big damage dealer, but we'll see as the bans come through. No Azir, now no Yone as well. So mid lane target and some top lane in full focus.
Yeah. The Yone, definitely a big pick to take off the table, but the Dignitas has kind of opted in right now to kind of one of two strategies. They either have to kite Seraphine out, right, because even though Seraphine gives you a lot of movement speed, Zeri's still faster. If you can keep yourself away and keep yourself at a distance, it's very difficult for this TSM roster to kind of catch you. They kind of rely on being there first and forcing you to come into the objective. So if they want to commit towards that, if they want to pick another couple like really long-range champions that force TSM to try and engage, it can make TSM a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah, I like Corki.
Yeah, and I mean it's a big one for Insanity as well. I mean, I think it fits the way this comp wants to play. I love the idea about trying to like kite it out and make sure that they keep him at a distance. That's a very good thing for Spawn to be able to do. We talked about how he's not quite as aggressive. He does have good spacing when he plays a lot of these champions, and I like him on a champion like Zeri that has a very big gap close or escape if need be. No Lucian. I don't think we really expected like a Lucian Nami coming through here. It just speaks that Dignitas Academy aren't 100% certain what the TSM comp is trying to do. Maybe they think that's like Karma mid. But yeah, I think this is more likely. Takeover as the seconds tick down is going to lock the Ahri. So no, they switch it up. That's the Corki takeaway here.
Okay.
Man, this gets really pokey.
That is very pokey. And so TSM, my one worry for them is things like Mundo start looking really good here, right? You have 3 magic damage dealers on your team. You currently only have a Wukong. It's very difficult to find something that is a powerful marksman in the top lane because we're not playing with Viper on the team. And so TSM are looking at something where Dignitas, if they just go something incredibly tanky, they might just be able to brawl it out over long periods of time. They're opting to get the Sylas coming in for Insanity, probably, but we also know that Tony Top doesn't really play any of these super tanks.
No, I mean, we've seen like an Ornn game here or there. I think he's got a Sejuani in his pocket as well. But like a lot of the champions that he likes to play have been banned out. Now, the Camille is a champion that has a fair bit of flexibility, but it's not one of those big tanky ones. So I think you're going to rely a lot on the Trundle stat steal. The issue is, whose stats do you take? Like, I think the Wukong is the biggest right now, unless Soul opts into one of these big tank matchups. And I don't know. I don't know how I like this pick ban from Dignitas here, Joshi.
Yeah, Dignitas, I look at their composition and I think it has win conditions, but it just feels harder to play. And as this Trinity comes through, right, if you ask for something that does physical damage, something that doesn't die for long periods of time, Trinity fits the bill. So TSM have a very straightforward composition. But on Dignitas, they're now reliant on splitting the map, and so that puts a lot of pressure on Tony Top, who is this veteran. We know he plays a lot of Camille, he's pretty good at it, but he needs to beat up Soul. If he's not able to create pressure in the side lanes, Dignitas only win fights when Sylas has Seraphine ultimate, and that is not a large win condition for you to really play around because TSM, they always have Seraphine ultimate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult. There are a couple of other priority things that I think the Sylas can opt to steal as well. I mean, if you want to try and stick to people and become like a bargain bin Tryndamere, there's always that opportunity. I think the Cyclone has value, but those are the big ones, right? Like the Seraphine Ultimate's clearly the number one priority, but I think this is going to be tricky for Dig. And as we discussed in the pregame, they're a team that kind of has a little bit of a different idea across a number of their players of how deep they want to go and how often. I want to see Dig improve on that. They are going up against TSM, who've been winless for a bit, but we'll have to see how this first game plays out as we are going to go ahead and send it up onto Summoner's Rift as we get ready for Dignitas Academy versus TSM Academy for Game 1.
Here we go.
Pat to LCS.
And I will say, Pyra, as we start getting into this, I saw some things come out from Spawn yesterday on the Callista in particular that I was very excited by, right? Earlier today, we painted him as somebody who's not quite aggressive enough, not somebody who's willing to go for as many plays, but that wasn't true yesterday. And while we do have 1 day of evidence that Spawn is growing into this more aggressive marksman, this is the day that I'm going to be looking at it and saying, was that a one-off, or is that the way that Spawn is going? Because if Spawn is pushing to be more aggressive, I already think he's one of our best AD carries. If he can start playing more than just a defensive style, he might be our best.
I think it'll be interesting to see. This bot lane, you talked about top being a pretty important one, but I think this bot will be interesting to watch as well, especially when you look at the very, very stiff arm kind of duo that Instinct and Shenyi have brought to bear there, the Seraphine and the Karma. If Spawn and JJ can set up a play, if XU can get involved, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Trundle ganks are either really good or completely useless.
Completely useless, yeah.
You've got a pillar. Where are you going to put it, XU? I mean, we know XU is an aggressive person. We know he's going to want to make the play. We'll see if he can do it. Takeover having a little bit of fun in the mid lane. And obviously for the TSM side, traditionally, and I say traditionally, but it was like 3 weeks ago, what they've found wins on have been snowballing Takeover. How do you feel about Corki, first strike Corki with a lot of kills in the first couple minutes?
You know, his if Corki gets accelerated and kind of gets to skip the bad part of the game where he's not very strong in the first couple of minutes and then gets you 2 items, Corki kind of wins this game on his own, right? That's the scary thing about this. If you can find this lead, it's going to be a massive coup coming through for TSM. But I'm not sure that that's the way that they're going to really be able to play. Like, they do have a pretty decent lane here into the Sylas. I'm actually surprised that Insanity chose this. And I think, you know, if, as you said, we get this Corki ahead, TSM just kind of wins by default in a lot of the time.
Yeah. I was a little surprised we didn't see range matching range for Insanity, but I think you called that they really wanted to try and brawl it out a little bit more. And you take a look at the globals as well. That's 3 teleports on the Dignitas side. So you know that they're going to want to try and group to make a play because they have a pretty good 5v5. The issue is they need to survive the lane phase. Yeah.
That's the issue. It's Seraphine.
The issue is like, you're like, oh, I guess I'll just stand in the ultimate. And, you know, but Insanity is getting chunked pretty early here. So definitely keep your eye on XG, right? I mean, level 3 Trundle ganks are a thing.
Wait,
hey, that's a nice trade, actually. Okay. From the Sylas. Really well done to return fire on the combo.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key thing you look at in Sylas, right? Is the level 3 wake up good? Are you going to be threatening to kill Takeover and immediately diving in? He's already burned through all of his potions, so his sustain is quite a bit lower, but his all-in potential is still going to be there. And so, I kind of want to return back to the bottom lane, because to me, this game, Seraphine is our main character, but we'll have to hold off on that because both junglers are here.
Yeah, they are. Hyper looking to tag his way in. Insanity walking slow. XU staying just off to the side, and they will actually just let that go over. So, Insanity back to lane, but very, very low. Out of potions to chug as well, so it pushed his luck a little bit against Takeover.
Just a little bit. I think he will be okay. But again, I want to go back to the bottom lane. Seraphine Karma is a ridiculous lane, because we have to remember how Seraphine's passive works. Every 3rd spell, you get to cast one of your spells twice. And while your double Q, you know, is an okay damage tool, the bigger ones that you care about are your W, the shield into heal, and the E, the thing that just upgrades whatever crowd control they're already hit with. It turns nothing into a slow into a root, and a root into a stun. And Shenyi can make all of those happen. He can shield Instinct so he isn't reliant on getting his own passive up. He can give the shield so that he can just press W whenever. He has a slow so the E turns into a root, and he has a root so the root turns into a stun. It's a very potent combination in teamfights and in lane if Dignitas ever get too aggressive.
Yeah, Seraphine definitely champion with a lot of tools in the kit. Here comes XU down towards the bottom. When this champ got released, I remember looking at it and being like, oh no, Sona mains everywhere, crying.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Trundle. I'm like, dang, you remember when Trundle was released?
I don't actually. That was a long time ago. Even I'm not that old. But yeah, Shenye is going to get popped on the pillar. There we go. As they get that lightning shock, not enough damage to return fire, and they group up, making it easy to return back. The 2v3 defense is there for TSM Academy.
Good job from TSM. It's a flash trade between the two of them. And XU, right, he's trying to upset this bottom lane. And right now, Hyper is coming down. We might just see a 3v3 brewing.
It might be 3v2. There goes XU. He knows, like, I got no flash. I can't do anything else about it. He is going to back up as there is a decent push. Keep your eyes on the vision down bottom, too, right? If teams are neglecting to ward through river brushes or try, currently they both have a good balance on their own sides. But I do expect the junglers to return quite shortly.
And so this is kind of one of those things, Pyre, that you're talking about with the vision. We have to look to see if TSM, if they can maintain vision, they are now much less intimidated by a Trundle gank because he doesn't have the flash to get on top of them. And generally, when you look at these double mage, double enchanter bottom lanes, the whole goal is we want to interact with our lane opponents as little as possible. And you do that by either, one, letting yourself be pushed in, or two, pushing them in so they're under turret. Bang.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit rough, I think, unless Spawn and JJ can find a play. Oh, Takeover getting chunked there. The rockets coming out of Silence just feel wrong. That's I don't like that animation.
I mean, you were a pretty big fan of our Manta Ray plus Gwynsu's Rage Blade. I thought you would be in for these, like, crazy combinations.
I said that's what it is. I didn't say I liked it. But, yes, haha, Manta Ray, go burr. XG going to get Shenny running straight into him, by the way. This is actually a gift right now, as Dignitas are going to find the opportunity to claim first blood. Shenny on the roam gets caught out. Insanity grabs the first blood.
I gotta say it, Lennon. Shenny got caught again. Feels like it happens quite a bit, and it is going to be not only the kill going over to sides, it's also going to be the dragon getting picked up by Dignitas. This is one way for them to manage the team fight scaling, and if they can pick up a couple of dragons, they don't need to fight for several of them later on. So this is actually a huge opportunity for Dignitas to really try and push the rest of the game. But with all of our attention being paid towards the junglers and the bottom lane Pyra, Tony Top is losing. We said he needed pressure.
Mm-hmm. It's a struggle. Soul is having a pretty good time up in the top side, keeping Tony Top pushed away. Now they both are on 6, so you do have to keep an eye on how that interaction is going to work if the timing works out on the Hextech Ultimatum. But Tony Top's playing defensively right now. He's just sitting on the Sheen. I think Dignitas, there's a lot to like about what just happened in that mid, but that was a little bit of a gift.
It was a gift, yeah. It's definitely a situation where Insanity, we're looking at him to come alive way earlier than Takeover will. Now that Insanity has access to ultimates, now that he can be on the map and look to be very aggressive, he gets to do that well before Takeover is a damage threat in a lot of these fights. So, Insanity, we looked at it yesterday, we said you are just right amount of playmaking earlier today. Can you do that? Can you move around the map and gift me everything you gave me yesterday? And that was Soligo. Soligo gave me gifts yesterday, because he was like, I gotta go roam around in this Lysandra.
There you go. And Insanity, he went on a quick roam himself. It was just to pick up blue buff, and that's okay. But yeah, if he can get down to bot lane or maybe up to the top, there's some impactful ultimates to steal. As he goes forward, looks to go ahead and grab a Corki Rocket on the hijack. Doesn't manage to get it this time around, but keeping pace on the farm. Down bottom, we really want to see Spawn and JJ finding a kill. They do have a little bit of a farm lead, but that's not massive, especially considering XU did already invest that flash, and I think that's the trouble with Trundle Jungle, right? You don't have a gap close built in, you just have a speed boost.
Yep, and we are rapidly approaching the point of the game where Instinct can be like, yes, there is a wave there, let me press Q once on it, and then there will be no wave there. And at that point, Spawn and JJ can't do a whole lot. They're kind of forced into a freezing position so that Instinct and Shenyi can't get any more gold and experience. But Dignitas, we saw this yesterday with Bel'Veth, they're playing towards the Rift Herald.
Yeah, XU is going to be on Vision right now, so we'll see if they bring enough people on the TSM Academy side to try and contest this, or they give it up. I think that's the answer, because JJ and Insanity are both here. This is going to be the full commitment to actually make that happen. Insanity, JJ Roman here. Oh boy, the red buff could be under fire. Hyper gets the smite out. He knows something's up. Game senses are tingling. Maybe he doesn't. He's on chickens.
Yeah, I feel like he probably had no idea that he was about to get attacked, but unfortunately for them, the Valorant timing doesn't work out. They don't catch him rotating and peeking the wrong corner, so TSM will get away with that. And with this small lead, the game being even, I really like their chances.
I did too. I think, the gold game bang on even despite the first blood. Of course, the dragon picked up. It is that Ocean to kick things off. And you mentioned early Drake timer is going to be important for Dignitas to try and combat the scaling factor. But yeah, time is on the side of TSM here. I really like how their bot lane has been able to keep at least pace with Spawn and JJ without giving any openings and picking up all that farm. As you mentioned, the high note from Seraphine. Fun fact about minions, Joshi.
Yeah.
They have very sensitive hearing, and high note does extra damage to them. Not actually, but in my head. Tony top.
Good
Gotta
to
get
know.
out. Ooh, he goes back in. Here's Hyper.
Oh.
He's already burned the hook shot. Has to burn Flash now. Just on the edge of the Cyclone, but Soul is there to chase him down. Even with the Hextech ultimatum, it's 2-on-1, and Soul will finally fall at the end. Here comes his Insanity to clean things up and finds Hyper on the hijack, the abscond and abduct. And that's 2 kills for Insanity now. Dig turning it once again.
What the blazes was that? What was that dive? They had no HP going in. He was full HP. They traded 1 for 2. TSM, I know you're really feeling yourself. I know you're looking at this game and saying we're even, but now we're going to see a much cleaner dive.
Yeah, that was nicely played here. Even the flash out of instinct, he does get the ultimate on, but only in time for a single drop of the beat, it seemed, as Takeover teleports into lane just to watch it go bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah,
this is all coming up Dig here, Joshi.
That is how it's done right there, right? You go for it, you get in, you get out. They took almost no damage from the turret at all, and now TSM, I was so excited about the way that they were playing the early game. They were very even, and I feel like, I don't know who called for the dive up top lane, but it was a play that didn't go well. It was a play that didn't feel like it was going to go well in the first place. And now Dignitas, they jump out to 1,000 gold lead because look at this. Like, Soul instantly hits the Ghost, but he's all ready at a spot where he can take a turret shot. He has to ult immediately after that, and he doesn't have enough time to go for this. Hyper, even with the ultimate movement speed, can't leave. And so you know the mid laner is going to teleport. You did it top lane. You know Takeover is going to teleport bottom lane. All of this should have been premeditated. It just feels like TSM trying to bite off more than they can chew. And ooh, the package too.
Yep. Oh boy. And now TSM going to try to set up a bit of a brush bait here as they find XQ focusing him down at the speed of light, but not fast enough apparently. Takeover will finally get that last rocket kill as Hyper goes in to give his life for the cause here. You see the shutdown onto Insanity, big gold into the Takeover as they find JJ. They've juggled aggro so incredibly well. I can't believe Hyper didn't die. And even Instinct picks it up. They stuck to Dignitas like magnets.
Okay, it doesn't matter. You still have Seraphine Karma. This comp is still really good when you can set up your battle lines. And we see TSM. They fire right back. They get the dragon. And so now we look back and we say, this is really strong for Dignitas when they got the first dragon because it is so difficult for them to fight for ensuing dragons. But it pushes TSM's potential soul really far back. And so TSM,
oh my gosh,
the biggest thing that I like seeing from them is them being on location first. This is not something they have historically done. They have not been particularly good at setting up these plays, but they come here, they know Dignitas are going to try and make a play mid lane and rotate to dragon. They see spawn, they say, hey, 4v3, we'll take those.
They will. Did a great job of keeping XG completely locked up. It looked a little dicey for a second as he gets away. Takeover says, no, you don't. And then it's
and then
just
Hyper
chasing him down. How does Hyper live? The shields are so good. Enchanter support meta. Nobody dies. At least if you're the team with the Enchanters. They've got Herald in mid. Insanity going to lead that charge here as Takeover trying to get them around. Here comes the quickness out of JJ, but it's the bait! It's a trap! Get out of there! Dignitas losing Insanity, and they will surely lose JJ as well. There is nowhere for him to go as even Hyper picks up a kill. TSM are right back on top. Soul chasing down Tony top, flashes forward. Oh, that's got to end sooner or later. It's the Hextech ultimatum to buy time, but it's not enough, and Soul, he gets it back. We're not done yet, Josh. XG getting charmed straight into the Seraphine ultimate. Another stun now. Spawn, though, going to last through it. Finds a kill back. And Shenny left all alone. It is action all over the rim.
This is actually so funny to me, right? You see Seraphine and Karma walk up and Trump is like, what are you going to do? Yeah, that's what I thought. You don't have any damage between the two of you right now. It's Moonstone plus an Oblivion Orb. So we're definitely seeing TSM. It feels like they're a little bit less familiar with a lot of these champions. And even though when they line up and just do things as a 5-man unit, we know they're going to have success. They aren't doing that yet.
Yep. I think you do see a little bit of weaknesses. Shenny getting caught out in the mid there. Honestly, I almost didn't register it for a second.
I'm going to call that for what it is. that was inting, right? Like, what are you defending? There's no minions that you're trying to stop from coming in. You just choose to take a fight with nobody around, and I've been struggling to watch Shenyi's career because I know he's pulled into an uncomfortable situation. He's pulled away from his home in China, and he's not able to get on the same page as a lot of the members of TSM. I feel really bad, like, watching what has happened to this player who showed so much promise over in the LPL, but now that he's in NA, a lot has been left to be desired. And so TSM, they are still even. I still like their chances, but that's the second time it's happened in this game, Shenyi.
Yeah, I think there's only so much you can do to defend like just individual bad decisions, right? It's one thing to be not on the same page with your team. It's another to just kind of be in the wrong spot consistently. Yeah. As a little bit of poke comes out here, you do see it looks like it's setting up for 5v5.
Battle lines.
As Hyper going to clear away that ward, here come Dignitas on Hyper. He does not. No, excuse me. That was the clone. I got bamboozled. I've seen a couple of Wukongs just actually stand still and try to fake it out, but not that time. He did actually have the clone on the wall. Here's Soul wrapping around on the flank side. Will they be able to secure the Herald before the fight? Collapse comes in here. Comes Hyper instantly charmed up, and I think they might have the fight on the Dignitas side of things. Hyper, though, is going to get that knock-up into the Hextech Ultimatum. There goes Tony Top. Insanity will fall to take over off the back, and Soul down to nearly 0 HP, but he does have the Undying Rage as they take down XU. The chase is on. TSM, as you said, Josh, when they pick their battle lines, TSM Academy know exactly what they're doing. Hyper steps a little too far forward, though, and now they lose one on the back half of it. So the dust will settle 2-for-1 trade, and the Herald has been dropped down, picked up by XU.
Yeah, the fact that XU actually grabs that is pretty impressive. They were not in a spot where they could easily go for all these plays, and we're seeing TSM. Again, this is a composition that seems fairly new to them. The way that they've been moving around is not necessarily the cleanest. They don't necessarily appreciate how tanky Hyper really is. He can kind of do whatever he wants in a lot of these team fights. And the thing is, they are still winning. This composition is so good, right? Hyper goes in, he takes a lot of damage. The backline can't even participate until halfway through the fight, and they keep Hyper alive. They don't even get the first Seraphine heal off of him, and he still has the Moonstone. He's still half HP. They can run everybody down. This composition is so easy to pilot for TSM, and we are still seeing success. They just need to play the macro game right. They did it this time. They lined up. They set things up to find success. And if we continue seeing that, I think we might see a big upset here.
The seeds of a TSM victory have clearly been planted. I think both teams have lost their heads a little bit in some of these setups, but we've seen TSM just find success when they can set up the play they want. And it's incredible they won that fight, as you said, off the back of 3 members being completely neutralized for a second. There's just so much time on that Cyclone cast from Hyper to set the play. And critically, we talked about the takeover Corki win condition.
There it is.
Well, look at that Corki. 5-0 at 17 minutes.
If you weren't going to say it, I was going to bring it up. He's on 2 items already. He's on 2 completed items. And Muramana is done stacking. Suddenly, Takeover is incredibly powerful. They've done their job. They've gotten this Corki to the spot of the game where it starts to matter. And TSM, they now get to play this range advantage. And Dignitas, we asked how they were going to deal with it. How are they going to deal with the Death Ball? How are they going to deal with a late game Corki? And the answer I gave was Tony Top needs to create pressure in the side lanes. But he's not winning duels against Soul right now.
Yeah, that's another issue, right? Because Soul is going to be able to impact not just side lanes. I think he's going to be able to team fight pretty well to chase down priority targets. At the moment, Spawn has a fair bit of ways to get out of harm's way, but he can be chased down pretty easily. Tony Top has been far enough behind to where he's not going to have as much of an impact in the fights. And Insanity is going to try to do the same thing Soul is, but he's going to have a harder time of it. There's just a lot of CC to keep him at bay. And right now, they're setting up. I mean, there's no dragon to set up for. Yeah, I mean, there's like I was trying to think, like, what are you guys doing? You've already lost out on that Infernal. One thing we didn't even talk about, Yoshi, is that it is an Infernal Rift, which is massive for both teams.
You know, there are characters on both sides that like it. I think Corki is a pretty big fan, but over on the side of Dignitas, you don't have a lot of characters with like big ratios. So, but this is the thing I want to. You need to find flanks.
Oh, okay. Insanity comes in. They got instinct. Oh, he misses on the flash. And he knows he's a dead man, just trying to turn things back and around. Here comes Shenny, but nowhere for him to go as well, as they were cutting them off at all angles. All 5 members here of Dignitas Academy Going to go ahead and equal that kill score just shy of the 20-minute mark, and you see not a whole lot of answer that TSM can do, trying to push a few minion waves.
This is what I was looking to talk about, Pyra, right? You are looking for ways. You know what TSM's win conditions are. It is group up as 5, get your melee champions in front of your ranged champions, and push forward. So how do you attack that? Well, you attack it when you don't have all 5 members together. Instinct and Shinyi, they're not writing home about the amount of damage they do. They're looking for opportunities to be aggressive as a whole team. And Dignitas attack that. So Insanity, Tony Top, they're the players who need to find their way onto the back line. If you can force the front line of TSM to deal with multiple angles, Dignitas have ways to win fights. They're just not straightforward.
Yep, and XG pushes a little too far into the enemy jungle there. He's going to pay the price for it as Soul takes him down, getting the kill for the Trinity. And that timing is, for Dignitas, that feels bad. You don't have a smite for 30 seconds, and the Baron is spawned. This is going to be a 5v4 for TSM. Here comes Insanity. And they get one cast off of the Encore. Insanity does land it, and that's going to make TSM think twice, but here comes Takeover around the side. I'm going to try to keep him at bay here. Baron, only 8,000 HP. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And here comes the big play in as they try to land the quickness on. JJ finds a target, but the death ball is reassembled as they turn around. Hyper finding one whack on the top of Tony Top's head. That is going to be it. No Baron today. XQ back right up off Fountain, and I think they're gonna back off on the TSM side.
Yeah, TSM, they still have a very straightforward win con, right? They know how they're supposed to play this composition, but it feels like they weren't on the same page. Are we burning the Baron, or are we turning for the fight? And Dignitas is allowed to just kind of walk in because TSM's still trying to decide what angle they actually want to take. And so TSM, they do find a good pick. They are still in a spot where they have a lot of opportunities later on in the game, but those are the kind of situations where you can't get caught.
Yeah, Takeover burns flash, but he is out. He's going to be able to get away. That Corki still keeping his bounty on. That is a fat gold bounty. 700.
700. That's a whole 1,000 gold that will get picked up if anybody is going to take Takeover down. Get the Manatee. Get the Manta Ray. And now Soul is split pushing its XU? How did this happen?
I have no idea. I mean, I guess if you're XU, it kind of makes a little bit of sense if you're not worried about the Baron threat, right? Like, I guess you can steal some of Tryndamere stats? Question mark?
Question mark? Yep.
I don't know. So Tony Top's having a hard time in the 1v1, so I kind of like this a little bit better, but that's a problem in and of itself.
True. And we have another problem coming up for TSM.
All right, they've caught Soul. He's going to be able to spin out. Here comes Insanity looking to cut him off, and as he dashes over the pillar, he will have a lot of shields. Does not need his ultimate whatsoever. He's fine. Dragon's up in 18 seconds, though, and that's going to be what Dignitas have their eyes on, is they're going to try and cut down on TSM.
Yep, that's the problem. And look at where Takeover is. He's sitting in base because he's waiting for the package. And he's got teleport, so he's going to be able to be here. So TSM, they just need their face checkers in front. And Soul, that's not necessarily a flank opportunity. Now they line up and watch TSM just barrel through this team fight.
All right, Takeover. Got the package, going to be able to find a target for delivery here. Tony Top taking a little damage. Here comes Hyper to the front line. Dig doing a great job of keeping him backed away. There's a lot of damage dealt onto Hyper's side, so it won't be the easiest for him to get in here as the Dragon is not going to get started yet. Dignitas, if they take another big rocket like that, the tables can turn yet again.
They bully their way in, but Insanity and Tony Top, remember, they're trying to find their way onto Instinct and Shanyi. If they can force their way onto the Enchanters, they can pick apart this Death Ball. This is not the way to do it. They just gave up the flank.
Yeah, they did. Get the eyes on the rest of the TSM members. Everybody getting a bit cold feet about this Dragon fight, but it has been started by TSM. They shred it pretty quickly here. Look at JJ around the side looking for the flank. Does not. He does have the quickness in his pocket if he was going to use it, but that's going to be the Cyclone up for Hyper. In goes Takeover, out goes Takeover, and a big old Zeri ultimate. Instinct, though, does find JJ to start the fight off. Shut down Insanity will finally collect that gold bounty on to Takeover. Hyper running for the hills. Dignitas coming up with a big win, and they also get the Dragon. Soul left out to dry in no man's land. Will go over the wall, but followed by Spawn for the triple kill. He's looking for a Quadra. Tony Top setting him up, and Tony Top taking it away.
There we go, though. Dignitas, they're picking apart the Death Ball. They're not allowing TSM to set up the battle lines. We're seeing Dignitas playing around the Seraphine beautifully. And Spawn untouched, right? This is the one problem that TSM have. They can't get to the enemy AD carry. He gets to hit for free. You have to kill everybody else. And TSM, their battle lines, so confused. very obvious that Dignitas understand this composition better than TSM do.
And that is making the difference right now. It has been a little touch and go for Dignitas. Their fights have been a little disastrous at times when TSM are taking them on their own terms. But this fight was all Dignitas. After the tools were burned, Hyper goes in, and they just got nothing here. Like, really good spawn front lines while the rest of the team keeps Soul and Hyper at bay.
I mean, the core thing that we have to watch is Hyper and Soul actually F that fight, right? They dove onto Trundle. Who cares? Who cares? Your main character is Instinct. You do not care about side character Trundle in this game. He is, at best, a goon who is there to provide spawn protection. You need to keep your enchanters alive at all costs. That's it. That is Hyper and Soul not understanding their comp.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is troubling as TSM. They have the tools to win. They've shown the ability to execute in fights, but you've got to make the right decisions, and TSM just have not in the last couple of minutes. Not to mention, you give so much gold over to the Silas, so Insanity off the back. I mean, that's massive, right? 700 gold off of a single kill. Bounty, like, he's got himself right back up to speed. You have a Zanya's Hourglass now, a 7-stack Darksteel. I mean, if this keeps going, Insanity might decide to open a book or something. I mean, this is a lot of damage on that turret. They're able to take it down pretty quickly. You got super minions, or rather Baron minions in 2 lanes.
True. You gotta pay attention to what Insanity is doing now. Both Insanity and Spawn are massively far ahead. They have a decent gold lead. They're challenging for the Soul. And now they're starting to bully people around with the Baron. It's kind of hard to wave clear. Tony.
Hexagon Hyper, it was his clone, so I don't know how I feel about that one, but it
clone.
did, you know what? It was a zoning ultimate.
It did a lot of zoning, that's for sure. But this is the kind of thing that we are seeing, right? Dignitas, they feel a lot more comfortable. They're not just trying to figure out how to play their own composition. They have a pretty decent idea, and now they're pushing in because there's no wave clear.
Yeah, they got a death ball of their own here. And that was a brilliant stolen Seraphine ultimate out of Insanity as they look to set things up here. JJ running around with the quickness, trying to get the knockups, trying to get the charms on, but it will just be enough to buy them time to take down the inhibitor down bottom. Soul taking his own blast cone to try and dodge out the damages. Dignitas look to reset here, and TSM looks to try and chase down a little bit of health bars blinking, but nothing too much to worry about, as Dig will get out scot-free.
Dignitas will be able to run away, and now we have to look at the fact that Seraphine, while absolutely nutty on 2 items, is less than exciting on 3 items. And so now, where we were constantly looking at the way that Instinct and Shen Yi were going to be positioning these fights, we now care about Takeover, right? We said, and we keep talking about it, Takeover, Corki, this champion late game, he's a big playmaker for the team. He had 1,000 gold shutdown. He was accelerated. He's now on 3 items as Corki. He needs to be the one doing the damage, and he needs to keep Dignitas at bay. And so Takeover suddenly becomes the main character, and he's got to contend with Spawn, who's going to try and hunt him down during these fights.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a little bit difficult, I think, is the way that I'll start that phrase. Insanity wrapping around the side, looking for Hyper. They do get the stun off, and even through his own ultimate and second cast, they shred him down as Spawn finds kill number 6. JJ with the setup. It's brilliant. Shenny falls, the double kill to the Zeri. And now at a 5v3, pushing on 2 lanes. They don't have a minion wave, but that is not going to be a problem for long. Joshi, 28 minutes, Dig running this game.
Absolutely running it. They understand. They pick apart the death ball, and I gotta give props to JJ where props are due, right? He sees an opportunity to hold onto his grand entrance, and he doesn't use it right away to jump onto Hyper. He saves it to jump onto Instinct and Shen Yi, and turns what is a pick into a team fight win. They catch multiple members, and another inhibitor falls.
Easily done. It's just so much damage that they can dish out right now, and they don't push their luck too far. They get the inhibitor. XU feeling himself a little bit. He's going to walk through the danger zone, but he's fine. He's a big troll. And they will be able to reset for this next dragon. There's another Infernal. I don't know if Soul is going to come in this game.
Well, he is in this game. He's playing Trigger.
I mean, yeah, I was about to say, well, is he anymore? I don't know.
He's still playing it. He selected it, and it's on the Rift.
Yeah, he's having a little bit of a harder time. When he's in the side lanes, when he's able to do a lot of damage, he's all right. He's got the quick blades on as well. They're not going to give up just yet. But TSM, they caught themselves in a little bit of a choke point. That's back over the wall. Takeover resets. Your Soul around the side. Do keep your eyes on that Tryndamere, because Dignitas, they are a little frantic at the moment as they look to reset, but they've scared TSM off. That is going to be dragon number 3 for them.
Dragon 3 helps out quite a bit. You just get a little bit more damage and allows you to contend with some of the scaling elements of TSM. But the bigger thing now is Dignitas. They've opened up 2 spots on the map. They have a minute until the Baron. And I think the play right now is you create pressure, you corral TSM into the base, and then you force them to come on out. You deny them a whole lot of vision, and that's why we're seeing a lot of Dignitas members get their reset in now, so they can spend all of their hard-fought gold, come back onto the map, and force TSM into an uncomfortable situation.
Absolutely. We're cresting the 30-minute mark in just a few moments here. Dignitas with a pretty significant lead, not just in terms of gold, but in terms of tempo, in terms of what they've been able to do on the map. As it is about 6,000 ahead in that actual number. Dignitas definitely looking like a team that understands, as you put it, their win condition a lot better. And Insanity and Spawn have both played incredibly well. I think this is big props to them. After a very quiet laning phase, Spawn has had a massive impact set up by JJ. I certainly want to give an honorable mention there for his excellent uses of the quickness and the grand entrance. But Insanity, man, he knows how to stick to targets. Playing Tryndamere better than Soul is.
And the biggest thing, right, that you kind of talked about, that we alluded to at the beginning of the day, is Spawn, he's not just playing back. He's not just being this defensive AD carry that we've known him to be. He's been able to look for opportunities to be aggressive. He's constantly diving into the fights. He knows what targets he needs to hit and says, if Hyper and Soul are fighting XU, well, I'm going to hit your Enchanter so we can actually win the fight. And Dignitas, they find themselves with a Baron. 2 inhibitors are down, and this could be the game-ending push.
Yeah, and maybe we need to take a second look at Spawn for Goldilocks there. I don't know, but either way, it's looking good for Dignitas. I think this could be the final push, and TSM will try to hold on here. They will be falling in game number 1, continuing that loss streak. Baron number 2 is on as they continue to shred through inhibitor turrets like they are nothing. Yeah. Insanity keeping them locked up. I don't like the Karki rockets coming out of a Silas. That looks weird to me, but you know what? It's working out well as they've got all 3 inhibs in the base. And the Death Ball is trying to stay alive.
We'll see if they can do it. They have to find their fight. We're looking at Hyper. You got to go in.
He does find one right there on that Cyclone. JJ taken quite low, but not out of this one just yet as the inhibitor does respond to Crowdlock. Here comes Hyper again. On the second with effort, he gets charmed up, but they do manage to find the Recon. And now in a 4v4, can TSM hold on? They go back to reset, heal up a bit on Fountains as they get chunked. And Joshi, I think this is going to be lights out the way things are looking. One Nexus turret is going to fall to the Zeri, who just has not had any pressure dealt her way this game. Here comes Insanity, and he throws out the Encore himself. Soul goes into his own ultimate, but for how long can he stay alive? It doesn't even matter, because the Nexus is bare, and Dignitas take game 1.
There we go, and I like what I'm seeing. Kelsey, you'll appreciate this. Dignitas, they don't chase onto the fountain. Who needs to do that? You gotta hit the Nexus. You end the game in
Eyes
style.
on the prize.
Dignitas, very clearly understanding the way to play around the Surfing composition better than TSM knew how to play it. They picked off individual members. They got in in Instinct and Shenyi's face. They made them uncomfortable, and by grabbing the Zeri, they were just able to dance around all the team fights. And so, TSM, the problem was not the composition. The problem is going to be how you actually execute it on that going into the future. And I feel like a lot of that is fairly straightforward for them to come to. But Dignitas, once again, showing their class. I think that they're kind of the gatekeepers that we have kind of in the middle of the pack. If you can beat Dignitas, we can really talk about you for being a top 6 team.
I think that continues to be true so far. For TSM, I do like what I saw in the beginning of the game. I think they had a good setup on the lanes. The issue, of course, Shenyi on a couple of scuff roams didn't quite work so well, and then of course not knowing how to execute on some of these fights. Nonetheless, we'll have a chance to come right back and try to even the score, but we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back after this.